All right. Let's do this thing, folks. The IRS has a 45Z rule. Oh, it it is a good day. Thanks everyone for hopping on to this meeting, especially in short notice. There's still folks pouring in, which is just always amazing to see the outpouring of folks that we get when we do these. So trying to stall for folks is a lot of people still coming in. But yeah, this is being recorded. To the question, here to answer your questions. Drop them in the chat. Drop them in the Q&A function. Too many people here to be able to have folks pop on and ask questions and whatnot. But I'll give kind of an overview of what is going on, and we can roll from there. So a lot of the questions, I don't know if I'm going to have all the answers yet, but I will get as much answered as I possibly can. But all right, there's still a lot of folks, but let's kind of officially kick off here. So welcome to this emergency press conference hosted by Continuum Ag. My name is Mitchell Hora. I'm the CEO and founder here at Continuum Ag. I'm a farmer from Southeast Iowa. I'm seventh generation on my family's farm, and I've been aggressively pursuing this 45Z program because I think it's a huge opportunity for my family farm. I'm trying to figure it out for my family's sake and my farm's sake, and just trying to share as much as I can with folks in the ag and biofuels community so we can really maximize this thing together. I think this program is one of the biggest opportunities that we have seen, at least here recently. A huge opportunity, and we have got to capitalize on it. So excited to share the details on that. We don't have everything yet, but we do have a good amount of details. So folks are still coming in, but we'll roll here. So what happened today is that the IRS, the Department of Treasury, released their notice of proposed rulemaking and public meeting. So this is the notice that they have proposed a rule and that they will have a public meeting. That public meeting, or the hearing, is scheduled for May 28th. So between now and May 28th, there's a process where you can provide public comments, you can raise your hand to speak at the hearing, you can register to be present during the hearing. I assume it's all virtual. I don't think I saw that clarified, but historically these type of deals we've been involved with have been all just virtual. But May 28th will be the public hearing. So essentially between now and then, they will open up a public comment period. I looked at the link that they provided, did not appear to be available to leave a comment yet, but I'm sure very, very soon, and we'll get our comments and thoughts put together, and we'll email out more of that info at a later date. But today, the IRS, they put out the notice of proposed rule. It is 170 pages long. It is a ton of material. I've not been able to make it through all of it yet, but I've got a darn good take on what we're dealing with here and the key important parts. So I just put in the chat as well the actual link to the text. If you would like to read it yourself, feel free. It's 170 pages of a lot of legal jargon. And again, I've been digging through it, and here's the gist. So 45Z has had 45Z has had impact in it from the Inflation Reduction Act, the One Big Beautiful Bill, multiple other rulemakings over the last 3 years. And this document cleans up a lot of the definitions, cleans up a lot of those existing rules, and kind of compiles it all into one big document that cleans everything up, clarifies everything. And that's really the gist of this. It's the full rule, integrating a lot of the work that has already been done and putting it all out there.
in one deal. It cleans up, what biofuel producers can qualify, what enacts as a qualified sale. It talks about how the biofuel producers have to apply to and register and participate and stuff. So a lot of details that are really important for the biofuel producers, for the CPA firms, for the consultants and whatnot. Tons and tons of info and material for them. It really, really clarified a lot of stuff, and especially within the Big Beautiful Bill, things, the details about restricting feedstock to be from just U.S., Mexico, Canada, indirect land use change, no foreign feedstock stuff. There's a lot of details and information about that. And it also talks a lot about kind of the emissions calculation process and how to turn that emissions rate into the actual tax credit rate. It's kind of clunky because, especially with SAF, they've changed the rates around a little bit, and it had to clean all of that stuff up. So, overall, it sets 45Z going forward, cleans things up. There's a very, very complete and thorough rule, way more than, at one point we thought it was just going to be skinny guidance and not a whole lot to it. This seems to be the complete and full thing, and there will be this public comment period. Things could still change a little bit, but my understanding is between a proposed rule and a final rule, it doesn't change a whole lot. Now, on the farmer piece, which I'm sure the majority of us, that's the key that we care about. The farmers and the Feedstock CI is in. We have a seat at the table here, but we do not have the details yet. What it says is that the Feedstock CI will be factored in, but the IRS rule that came out today says that they will refer to the USDA and their technical guidelines, which, if you remember, they published that as preliminary guidance about a year ago. They have been working to update the technical guidelines, and they've been working to update the CI calculator. But in this document, it specifically says that will be used. So we do not have the updated USDA guidelines today. So we gotta wait for that. I don't know when they're going to be released. I put out, I sent a note to some of my buddies at USDA. I will try to get some insight on that as soon as I can. But for today, we know that the farmers are in, and this is really critical because, as some of you that are following our stuff know, I had a meeting with the White House and the Office of Management and Budget here a couple weeks ago, and we were advocating two core things to make 45Z a success. One, got to have the farmer feedstock CIs included. We know that that's going to happen now. Huge win. Number two, we said you got to factor in the farmers with book and claim. That's the piece we don't yet know. Book and claim versus mass balance, that's in the USDA rule. Exact details of the practices, that's in the USDA rule. I don't have that yet. Exact CI scores and what's going to be factored in, and do I get credit for using a biological or for my actual fertilizer rates or whatnot? I don't have that yet, but at least we know that is coming, that will be used, and when that USDA rule goes live, we'll be off to the races. It also speaks in there about the ag practice implementation, the record keeping, the verification and whatnot. It says that that'll be tied in those USDA guidelines, or this the updated USDA guidelines to come. So that's great. I mean, especially here at Continuum and our take on it, it's like, man, we have been building out infrastructure, building systems here, trying to put our farmers, ourselves in position to capitalize on this. And we were set up, ready to rock and roll with that USDA framework. So if they're going to utilize that or slightly adjust it, we are really ready to rock and roll, which is very exciting. Now, one of the biggest other updates that came out of this rule today, though, we didn't know what route or what model was going to be used for the farmer CI scores. It could be the GREET FDCIC developed by the U.S. Department of Energy,
or it could be the USDA FDCIC developed by the Department of Ag. Okay, GREET FDCIC versus USDA FDCIC. Either one, I think, can work. We, of course, have preference on what we would like to see, what's better for the farmers, what we think is more thorough. But what the IRS announced here today is that there's going to be a new FDCIC created specifically for 45Z called the 45Z FDCIC. Very creative, right? So 45Z FDCIC, so a specific 45Z feedstock calculator that will be used. And it basically says it's the updated USDA calculator is what it sounds like, but integrated and will continue to be updated utilizing the GREET Research and Development FDCIC. So that's good. Basically points to some collaboration there between USDA and DOE, and hey, let's work together here, but have this where it's very blatantly obvious that this is a 45Z FDCIC for this program, and I suppose USDA could utilize, if they wanted to continue to invest in their calculator for other uses, it maybe opens a window for that. Department of Energy, of course, is going to keep updating their calculator, but ultimately for 45Z, it'll be the 45Z FDCIC. I don't know when that's going to go live. I don't know what all is going to be in it. In the rule, it specifically mentioned cover crops, reduced tillage, and improved nutrient management practices. So, it's going to be in alignment with everything we've been talking here for the last 3.5 years we've been working on this. But I just don't know exact details yet. But we know that the farmers are in. And what we learned in that USDA model, or the USDA rule, is you got to go through the verifications. The USDA rule mentioned ISO 14065 as the audit protocol. Continuum built out its own audit protocol, also utilizing ISO 14065. And in today's IRS rule, it says that the ethanol plants also will have to go through that ISO audit, or they can be audited by somebody according to ISO, or they can use the California Air Resources Board folks. It kind of mentions a couple options. But that ISO 14065, that is the global standard for greenhouse gas audits and verifications, lays out all those details, and we're ready to roll. And we've already proven that we can do it. We can do it at scale, do it very cost effectively, and it looks like we were right. Now, again, we got to have some of the details, but very much so cleaning up, like the farmer component is in. Going to be in alignment with USDA rule that was already out, according to what it says, ag practice implementation. So it gave details about like definitions of what is a cover crop, definitions of the different tillage practices and whatnot. So that's what it means by ag practice implementation. It'll have some details and particulars in the USDA rule. It talks about record keeping. Before, they said you got to have a receipt, a shape file, aerial imagery, as applied maps. So those are the record keeping that, again, we've already been doing this. We've already built out the infrastructure for this. So it's everything we've been doing. You're going to have records to pass through the audits. And again, it says verification protocol similar to what was put out before. So seems like it's on track with what we're wanting. Again, the big unknown is still going to be mass balance or book and claim. The quick catch you up to speed on that for anyone that hasn't been following super close. Mass balance means you have to deliver your crop into that biofuel supply chain. It could be you deliver your crop directly to a biofuel producer, or you deliver your crop to a elevator who delivers to a biofuel producer. But a mass balance approach has connectivity where your data and your crop stay together, and you have to participate in a biofuel supply chain under mass balance. We don't like it because it'd be very disruptive. A lot of winners and losers in that, especially in the animal ag space. What we're advocating for and what we hope to see in the USDA rule is book and claim. which is where your crop and your data are decoupled. You can sell your crop wherever you wish to sell your crop and sell your verified CI certificates directly to participating producers. So we don't know. That's going to be in this USDA rule. It did not speak to that in the IRS language. Nothing that I've seen. But hopefully we'll get some clarity on that soon. One other key thing that I read in this rule here is it says that this new feedstock calculator will come available, and it will be eligible for fuel produced in 2025. Now, we still got to read through some details here, okay? But if fuel produced last year can utilize this feedstock calculator, that means the crop from 2024 would be at play in your farm practices and your CI from 2024. Now, we're ready to go if we need to do that. And some of you farmers that were in our initial audit back in 2024, like, we're talking that we did more than a year ago, which would be great, obviously. I mean, the more that we can have included, the better. I don't think we'd be hasty on that old crop yet, but especially for 2025 crop, and as we're thinking about 2026 and going forward, got to be looking at these practices, got to keep good records, and going to have to pass through these verifications and whatnot. And I think this kind of solidifies our angle on this of, like, you know, before Continuum and kind of having your data maybe organized or kind of set up and kind of knowing your CI score was kind of a nice to have, to like now, like, you know, like, it looks like everyone's going to have to do this. So we have to get more clarity yet. There's not going to be any money moving from the ethanol plants. I don't think there will be. They need the clarity from the USDA rule before they can generate the credits. There's a long path ahead here, so do not misunderstand my words. Like, this did not get us all the clarity that we need for all the money to start flowing and everything's just full bore. That did not happen. But this said that day is coming. And the farmers will be able to help our biofuel friends decarbonize. The farmers will be able to bring their data and their low carbon practices to the table here. I don't know what the CI implications are going to be. Hopefully the CI reduction is good enough to create a sizable enough tax credit value that when that money is shared, everybody can win. But we're not sure yet. One other thing before I go into some of the questions, a huge winner in this, and we saw it in some of the notices from a year ago, is the fuel produced from manure. So I'm not talking you use manure to produce your crop. I'm talking you have a digester and you are making transportation fuel derived from animal manures. Those fuels derived from animal manures through digester type processes, they can have a CI score that's negative and get a huge amount of credit. Where in the case of most of us on here, where you may be using manure on your corn, that's going to lower the CI of your corn, but the lowest CI score that the ethanol can have is a 0, the final fuel. But in fuels derived directly from manure, they can go negative. So that's super interesting. SAF ends up still having a lot of uncertainties in all this. I need to read through some more of the details on that. I'm not super tied in on the SAF component of all this. I'm trying to just focus on the ethanol and biodiesel side, but SAF is continuing to face an uphill battle here. It's in there. There's still opportunity, of course, but there's going to be some battles on the SAF side of things. Let me see anything else from my notes before I go to the audits and stuff, clean up a lot of things, and again, just good to see a lot of clarity coming, and that the farmers are in, and hopefully we get that USDA clarity soon, and we'll circle everyone around on one of these webinars again. So more to come. Big win for farmers.
And the takeaway on that is farmer data has a role here. So get your data organized, at least 2025 data. Start working on 2026 as well. So your fertilizer you might have put on this past fall, cover crop you put on this past fall, practices you're going to do this coming spring, gotta have good records. We're happy to help. We would love to help with that in our software, Topsoil. It's at TopSoil.ag. We designed it specifically to help you manage all of this data. And that's really the spot to start, is at TopSoil.ag. Get the data managed, and we're going to help you figure out how to play in this space and be that easy button for participation in this market. Also, biofuel producers, hey, we can tag team with you and go to your farmers and your supply chain and help you to get your farmers across the finish line. You have to go through these audits, like I said, and we know how to do it. We can help you do it. So farmers, you can do this independently. Ethanol plants, we would love to work with you and help you get through this. If you are a elevator or ag retailer and whatnot, or a grain aggregator, I don't know exactly how this is going to work yet on the mass balance first book and claim, and exactly if you're going to have to undergo audits. But regardless, you have an amazing opportunity here to help your farmers go through the audits that are anticipated to be required. Amazing opportunity here to help your farmers participate, and we'd love to partner with you on that. All right, let me go to some questions. Will grazing be allowed on cover crops? I don't know. That's going to be in that USDA rule. So we have to hold tight on, is grazing going to be allowed or not? I hope so. But we got to wait for the USDA rule for the details of that. Nick, do the ethanol plants need the carbon pipeline to get in the money? Not necessarily. We are still waiting for an updated 45Z CF GREET. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. So we need the updated 45Z FDCIC for the farmers. The ethanol plants need an updated 45Z CF GREET. In there is due to clean up the indirect land use change component. How many points will you earn for having carbon capture, having a pipeline? That's in the 45Z CF GREET, and that still needs to be updated. So we got to wait on that just a little bit. Now, under the current 45Z CF GREET, having carbon capture lowers your score substantially. So it is a huge driver and a huge opportunity to lower our CI if you have carbon capture. But other components move the needle as well. And now we got the clarity that farmers will also be able to have a seat at the table to lower the CI, which is great. If the new 45Z model for the farmers ends up close to alignment with the current models, under the current model, we're showing that farmers on average can contribute 18 CI points of reduction. I don't know what it's going to be under this 45Z CF or 45Z FDCIC because it's not published yet. But under the current model, we reduce the score by a lot with the low carbon farming practices. We will be able to contribute going forward. I just don't know how much. So back to Nick, your question. If biofuel producers have carbon capture, they have a really low CI score. It moves the needle tremendously. But some of these other components likely would also enable them to qualify and get some credit. They may not be maxing it out, but be able to get some credit. It does look like there's going to be a path forward here. But again, your biofuel, your local biofuel producer today, they're still waiting for this updated GREET model to know exactly, but the opportunity absolutely looks there for participation at scale. Nathan, is this for all states or just Iowa? This is all states, man. This is federal. This was one big beautiful bill. Federal program for any transportation biofuel produced in the country. Here we're mostly talking about ethanol, biodiesel, stuff produced from corn, soybeans, but we already know canola, camelina, pennycress, sorghum,
all of like other fuels produced from those crops, they are eligible as well. That was already put out in the emissions rate table, and that was referenced in the document that was put out today. So no, it is absolutely nationwide. Will the USDA actually determine if farmers are included? So we know from the IRS that the farmer feedstock is in. The USDA is going to tell us the details. I don't think there's going to be any mandate about a percentage of the credit that the farmers get. I don't think the government should mandate that. I think the market is going to work itself out. I think there's opportunity here for collaboration, for getting creative to just work together and really strengthen that partnership between farmers and our biofuel producers, and the money will sort itself out. There's things are going the way that are anticipated here. I think there'll be plenty of opportunity for everybody. Eric, when would you guess that the first farmer is getting paid from 45Z? I know there's no way of knowing, just trying to get your sense. Yeah, I don't know for certain, but this public hearing is the end of May, right? So, and even after that, we're gonna have to have some more clarity later. Now, what I hope will happen is the USDA rule hopefully comes out soon. I know it's got to be close, so hopefully we get that USDA rule soon. Then, as farmers, now we'll know exactly how to calculate our scores. We'll know exactly how to verify. We'll know exactly, is it book and claim or mass balance. Like, getting this USDA rule, we'll be able to really rock and roll, I think. Now, you still got to go through the verifications. That's going to take a couple months or so. Just gathering all the data, going through third-party audit. It's a little bit of a process. We're ready to rock and roll fast, but it's still going to be a bit of a process. And I think if there's going to be any money move, it is for like forward contracting your credits that will be going through audit. So it's maybe partial payments, stuff like that. But I think it's probably going to be at least late summer, like at the earliest, before this is fully fleshed out. Because after May, end of May, then additional rules and stuff from there. I mean, it's going to be months before it is 100% final, but we at least know that there's opportunity to be had here, and we can keep moving forward. Getting that USDA rule will really clear things up, though. Pat, do the farmers get the tax credit directly or be paid a premium by the end market users? The farmers do not get a tax credit here. Biofuel producers get the tax credit. The opportunity is emerging here now for farmers to quantify the carbon intensity of their crop and then verify and sell that data to the ethanol plants or to the biofuel producers, who then can utilize farmer data and report that to their auditors, report that to their CPA firm, and ultimately report their Feedstock CI to the IRS. And they got to have data to back that up. So the ethanol plants or biofuel producers, they are earning tax credits, but they are utilizing the farmer data to do it. And so the farmers are selling data. It's not a carbon credit, but it's kind of along those lines. And then the ethanol plants can use that. Again, there's not going to be money moving right now. I don't know if the details are going to work out. Maybe still the USDA details are like, nah, you only get 5 points of CI reduction for having a cover crop. That's, a couple cents a bushel, and it just fizzles. That could still happen. That'd be an epic fail if that does. But we still need to know how much do the farmers move the needle, how big is the pie. Then we can figure out how to slice the pie. And again, I think that will sort itself out over time. Does this expect to have any impact on livestock producers who are using corn as feed? And so what? That's this mass balance thing. If 45Z is mass balance, the farmers who want to participate would have to sell their crop to the biofuel supply chain, not the animal supply chain. Now, there may be some creative ways to finagle, but livestock producers really will get hurt if this is mass balance. I made that as clear as I could to the White House when we had our meeting with them. My COO, Brad, he's a hog farmer.
I'm in Washington County, Iowa, where my crop goes to feed pigs. Like, we want book and claim because it doesn't end up negatively impacting the livestock producers. But so book and claim is what we want. You have any indication on when we'll see a final rule from USDA? No. I hit up some of my folks about. I hit up some of my folks at USDA. I am going to be in DC early next week, but I do not know when we will get that clarity from USDA. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I know they've been working on it a lot, and they got some great clarity today too, and reward for their efforts. Jason in Wisconsin. Does manure need any sort of pre-processing like composting or solid liquid separation to take full advantage? Number one, that's the USDA piece, so I don't know. But what I can tell you from historical rules that USDA put out or historical stuff, historical information about this credit, I have no indication that separating manure or composting it will be required. There's not been any indication of that, but ultimately, again, the answer is I need the USDA rule before I know for certain on how the details will shape out. Cassie, there have been talk in the past about the initial rule from USDA being too limiting, not including enough practices. Is that still a concern? Yeah. So, and that was kind of, so in the rule today, it was indicated that there's going to be this new 45Z FDCIC, 45Z Feedstock Carbon Intensity Calculator, and that new calculator is going to factor in the USDA stuff and the GREET, R&D GREET feedstock calculator from the Department of Energy. And they'll kind of make this updated deal. So yeah, I already know that USDA has been working to expand their practices because yes, the model a year ago was I think 7 check boxes: cover crop, reduced till, no till, stabilizers, no fall nitrogen, split applied nitrogen. That was it. And just missed a lot of things like yield, like manure, like fertilizer rates. So we wanted to see it expanded. I do not know the details, but I have faith that things have been moving in the right direction. I have reason to believe they've been moving in the right direction, and hopefully we get that USDA calculator soon, and we know for certain. When do we expect USDA guidelines? I think I hit that. Still up in the air. Do you see segregation at the elevator being a requirement? Different CI score ranges per se? No. So what he's getting at is like at the elevator, the low carbon corn goes to this bin, the high carbon corn goes to this bin. I don't think that's going to be required, and that's because of this mass balance thing. So it's not identity preserved. It's mass balance where you basically blend and aggregate the amount of low carbon bushels that you have, and then you can pull those low carbon bushels out in a mass balance approach, not a segregated full traceability approach. So I don't think it's going to be that complicated. And think of that even on your own farm. Each field has its own CI score. Then if you have your own grain site, you're blending those CIs together, and there may be a need to aggregate and blend at that level. We don't know yet. Again, this is why we like book and claim. It makes it so much easier that you have CI scores from this field that you can sell, CI scores from this field that you can sell. Don't have to worry about the blending and traceability and whatnot. But again, USDA rules needed there. Tom, well, audits be every year. So what was in this is again about the biofuel producers, and it did say that they would have to be audited by a third-party accredited auditor every year. And it lays out some details about that. But the ethanol plants or biofuel producers, they get audited in accordance to that 45Z CF GREET model. And then we got to have the details about how the farmer piece is going to be in. But yeah, ethanol plants audited every year. And I have no everything that has been put out so far indicates farmers also going through audits every year. This is going to be work. This is going to be a lot of data. It's going to be a plenty heavy lift for everybody. But I'm still hopeful that the financial upside will reward all of our efforts here. So more to come on that. But
Jackson, what's the general timeline from the public commenting period to launch? So, yeah, the public comment period, again, I looked earlier today. It didn't look like they had it all set up yet, but that should be on the Federal Register here soon. We'll share that as time gets closer. So there'll be this comment open for like 60 days is what I saw that the public comment period is going to be. And then they have the hearing on May 28th, but I don't know how soon they would publish a final rule after May 28th. And I don't know how much things are going to need to be edited or adjusted, or if what we got today is basically the way it's going to be. So, but I don't know. Cassidy, what practices or how many different practices would a single farm have to implement to get that 18 CI point reduction? So, yeah, good question. You can go on our software, TopSoil.ag, and plug in your farm practices and be able to see what your score is and what moves the needle. Now, again, your score on topsoil is not the score that's going to be used for 45Z. We need this new 45Z FDCIC to be able to do that. But it's going to be the same type of back-end data. We'll plumb in the new model when it's ready and let you all know when your CI score is ready or blast that out. But today, we've seen on average, farmers can get that type of reduction. That's from better yields than we're given credit for, better fertilizer management than we're given credit for, more adoption of cover crops than we're given credit for. It's things like that. But the big things that move the needle in the models today is cover crops, reduced tillage, better fertilizer, better fertilizer efficiencies, using manure, better yield. Those are key drivers. Again, in the rule that came out today, it specifically named cover crops, reduced tillage, and nutrient management. But we don't know exactly what else will be in there, but it did indicate, hey, they'll be able to update that calculator as we go, and again, incorporate things from USDA and from DOE. So really good to see that. Some collaboration, some continuous improvement, which is awesome. But do you expect there to be an open comment period for the CI models once published? I don't know. Ruby, good to have you on. Good question. I don't know if there will be a comment period on the USDA component, because they already had a public comment period and they already put out a proposed rule. So I don't know if they're going to have to do that again or not. I don't know. But on the CI model, we know that they're going to be looking to continue to update it and make adjustments. So I think it's always going to be, advocating and providing them feedback. What percentage of the ethanol plants have the ability to capture their carbon? I do not know the answer to that one. The American Carbon Alliance may know. They're heavily involved in this. And a lot of the ethanol plants in Nebraska, they have the tall grass pipeline, so there's a bunch of them. They're already moving carbon there in Nebraska and whatnot. Of course, in Iowa here, the Summit pipeline is facing some headwinds, but seem to be continue to make progress. There's a couple ethanol plants up in North Dakota that have been capturing and sequestering their own carbon for years. So they're doing it. There's a couple of facilities over in Illinois that I know have already been capturing. So it's a good handful, but I don't know exactly the percentage. So today, I don't know if there'd be somewhere between 10 and 20% are capturing today. But as more systems get built out, it can be 50% of them or more that could get there. It's just going to take some time. And but you can do both. You can have carbon capture and do the low carbon commodities and stack and do both. Jaden, is there a way for some ethanol plants would not need 45Z? I don't know of any of the plants. I've heard a couple plants that are saying that they'll be able to do this without the farmers. But because they have carbon pipelines and doing other things to lower. But is there a way for some ethanol plants that would not need 45Z though? I don't know why you wouldn't take the money that's there and that's available. Sure, it's going to be some paperwork and whatnot, but when you got millions or tens of millions of dollars dollars of opportunity sitting there. I don't know why you wouldn't take it. But we also, they cleaned up in this rule, again clarifying, if you elect 45Q, which is carbon capture only, you can't do 45Z, which is carbon capture plus other stuff. So if you elect to do a different program, you'd be disqualified, but you'd be making money a different way. But from everything I've seen, 45Z is the route that drives the most amount of money. So, Jaden, maybe shoot me a text if that's you, and I can get you pulled in for a question. I see your hand raised. But as an ethanol facility has carbon capture, do they need to lower their farmer CI scores if they already max out their tax benefit? No. So, again, if you have an ethanol plant that has carbon capture and is like, no, we can't use the farmer stuff at all, I don't know how they'd be getting all the way to zero without having some opportunity for farmers. Now, it may not be very much. So if you had a CI score today of 50, you get rid of indirect land use change, you have carbon capture, that's 32 points. You probably have a score now that's maybe around a 10. Somewhere between 15 and 5 anyway. That's pretty dang good. But you still have a little bit more opportunity to go all the way to zero. Now, you may not need 100% farmer participation. You may not be as amped to pay out that much if you're already making the majority of the money and now the farmer piece is just gravy. I still think that there's a good opportunity to integrate farmers. Now, this is also why we're so much advocated for book and claim. If your local ethanol plant is going a different route or they don't want to participate or whatnot under book and claim, you can still get value for your certificates by selling them in the open market to a different ethanol plant, one that you're not necessarily selling your crop to. So that's just, book and claim solves so much of this. And again, hopefully USDA goes that route. Can you share the rate table for all feedstocks? So there was the emissions rate table is notice. You can look it up on Google. It's IRS notice 2024-11 or something like that. It has the emissions rate table in it, but it doesn't really tell you anything except for the feedstocks that are eligible, and it just says you'll run the score using a model from GREET or whatever, something along those lines. But look that up. Notice. Must be 2025. Must be notice 2025-11 was put out last January. It has the emissions rate table in it. If USDA sides on mass balance, how should farmers pivot and participate? Yep, great question. So if it's mass balance, you got to figure out how to sell your crop into the biofuel supply chain somehow, or we got to figure out, is there some other kind of creative way for participation? Be major winners and losers here. If USDA goes mass balanced, we've been advocating so hard against it. And but under the USDA rule, if it goes mass balance, the folks that can sell into biofuels have a key opportunity here. If you are selling crop today, so 2025 crop, if you're worried and want to set yourself up for success and you have crop in the bin, you have more certainty if you're selling your 2025 crop into the biofuel supply chain. I'm still holding the majority of my crop to know for certain what I need to do with it, because it costs me a lot more to truck my crop all the way down to the ethanol plant versus just my local hog guys, and I'd rather sell to my local hog guys. But mass balance could require some disruption. Let's hold tight on that. Don't be too hasty right now. Hopefully it goes book and claim. Will a farmer be able to do documents to qualify? If we use your service, what will it cost? Yeah, so we help with the documentation and whatnot. The full-blown audit and everything, we're $7 an acre. It's CI certification. You can get started on the data documentation stuff now. If you're still a little uncertain about this, but you're like, all right, I better get started and better get on this, we have Topsoil Connect. It's $3 an acre. Okay, so full-blown audit and all that we've been doing for $7. But you can get started on our software today for just $3, and then pay for the audit later once we know what the details are gonna be. But good records is what this boils down to. Our software's set up to do it. Any size, there's a minimum amount to enroll, a 100-acre payment amount, but you can enroll fields that are smaller, and there's no high side. But for clarification, is the rye that I spread by airplane in September of 25 to be used for 2026 CI calculation or 2025? Yeah. Okay. So again, we'll have to wait and see on the USDA rule to change this, but currently my take on it would be that rye flown on in 2025 would be in the fall of 25 would be for the 2026 crop. In that the details on that, the USDA mentioned the ag practice implementation, or in the IRS rule today, they said that USDA will clean up the ag practice implementation. So that's what we have to look for your stuff. But no, it should be a cover crop is a crop that is ahead of the crop that you're going to harvest. And part of that, for additional clarity, is when you harvested your 2025 crop, that cover crop was basically not doing anything yet. Therefore, it hadn't captured any carbon yet. Therefore, it hasn't impacted your CI yet. But as that crop continues to then grow, the cover crop, it factors in for your 2026 crop. So, again, that should get cleared up later. That's just the current take on it. Corn, the big winner. Yep. Soybeans can participate, but the tax credit will go to the refinery and not the crush plant, resulting in an additional middleman and step. Take some gravy off top. Yeah, for sure. So what this anonymous person's getting at, the money goes to the transportation biofuel producer. And in soybeans, you've got the refiner, then you've got a crusher, then you've got farmers. So, and yeah, the crusher is obviously going to want a cut of the money and probably deserve the money, because they're going to have to be the ones that are pulling in a lot of the farmer CI data, getting their CI put together. So as soybean producers, yeah, it's ultimately the crusher that will need our data, and then that data will have to follow that soy oil to the refiner. The way that this program is currently put together, it's absolutely better for corn than soybeans. And I don't know if that's going to get adjusted. Nathan, what should we do if we don't have a CI score but have been doing cover crop and other practices? You're fine. That's what we're here for. You're not out of this. I would tell you to start at TopSoil.ag, or just there's other platforms. Our competitors have some. Ours is set up specifically for this. I mean, this is what we've been building for years, is this opportunity. Go to TopSoil.ag, run your score. It's completely free. And then the data collection and verification that's then where we charge, because we have significant cost in getting you through third-party verification as well. So we have to charge for that. Currently, I've never made a nickel from an ethanol plant. I don't know what that space is going to look like. We just want to help farmers get their data put together where you own it, and we're ready to help our friends in the biofuel space to really maximize this thing. And agree, how much can we decrease corn CI or bean CI? So again, this is going to be updated, so I don't want to get into it too much, but under the current GREET model, the default is 29.1, and I've seen legit scores of like -20. In the existing soybean model, the default is a 42 point something, and I've seen my farm CI score last year was -19. So it can get really, really low. We can move the needle a lot on the current model, but again, we need this new 45Z FDCSC so we know for certain how much we can lower the score. But if it's halfway in line with the current models today, we have a really good opportunity here as an ag industry to rise up, tell our story, and help our biofuel folks really maximize this thing. Anonymous again, do we know if I deliver grain to an ethanol producer, I need to have an audit certification in hand?
Will that vary? I don't know the details of this one yet. So again, we got to have the USDA deal. I don't think it's going to be I'm running my truck across the scales and I get the scale ticket from the folks in the office and I hand them a piece of paper. I don't think it's going to be that. We are setting it all up to be digital, to be a really streamlined system. And I think what's going to happen is, like for your 2025 biofuel or your crop that you're selling right now until these rules get 100% done, we don't have the CIs completely done yet. So we're going to have to look back and say, here was the crop that I bought. Now I'll go get the CI data and get it verified and apply to it. So it's going to be a little bit of a look back, backtracking process here at the beginning, just because these rules are more than a year behind on when they were supposed to, by law, be published. So it's going to be some backtrack here to reassociate CI with crop that's already been delivered. And then going forward, it's going to depend on mass balance or book and claim on how real time this is going to be. Can a farmer be an equip or state cost share for cover crop, strip till, and still be eligible for 45Z? Again, we have to get the USDA rule for this one, but in the old USDA rule, you can be in cost share and sell your CI data. You cannot be in a carbon credit program and be in CI. Okay, meaning you can't get paid for the carbon twice, but you can get paid for the practice, then get paid for the carbon. Maybe that'll be different in the USDA rule, but that is the current, what was in the old stuff, is can't double count the carbon, but being in cost share for the practice is okay. We'll update everyone when the USDA rules come out. Of course, Brad, you betcha. We will be all over this as soon as I know anything about the USDA rules. I'm assuming we'll have to have the same type of meeting, update everybody, get you all 100% up to date. We'll have a lot of work to do on our side too. But yes, as soon as we know anything about the USDA stuff, you all will be the first to know. Since a farmer is included in 45Z, who is going to go through a field-by-field audit to prevent false CI claims, fertilizer application, manure? Yeah, that is why we are here. So in order to get verified through Continuum Ag's process, you have to enter into our software what practices you did, and you have to upload evidence to prove that you did the practice. In the case of these applications and stuff for fertilizer, you got to have a receipt or an as-applied map or an attestation from your sales guy or whatever, something that proves that you did what you said you did. Then that has to pass our internal review. Then you sign an attestation. And attestations are going to be probably required at a couple steps in this whole thing. This is a tax credit. If you are lying on this thing and you get audited, it's going to be a bad deal. And at Continuum, we cannot allow for it, because when we are undergoing an audit and our auditors come out and do their site visit and find out that you're lying, you could ruin this thing for all of us. So we are going to extreme levels to make darn sure that what our farmers are putting in is legit. Part of that to protect ourselves, part of that to protect our farmers and all the rest of our customers who are buying in to do this. But also, I believe in the long term of this type of program. I do not want to screw this up. And even without embellishing, there's, I think, going to be plenty of money here to be conservative. Don't get out over our skis. Don't try to claim something that you can't prove, and make sure that we don't screw this up. But Jim, it's a good day for us, Jim. You've been working hard at this. I appreciate everything you've done and helped me with. I can't have a negative CI score, but only to 0. Does this mean I would get 29 points through my work, no-till and cover crops in the final calculation? So, Jim, no. What it says is the fuel can't have a negative CI score. It doesn't say anything about the farmer only being able to go down to 0. Okay, so like I mentioned on my soybeans, last year they were negative 19. All of that can count because my negative 19 is going to be blended at the crusher with everyone else's scores, and at the end of the day, it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But it doesn't say anything about the feedstock not having a negative CI. It just says the fuel maxes out the credit when the fuel gets to zero. So the farmer should be able to get full credit for everything that they're doing. If you had to sum it up, how would you characterize today's news, especially as it applies to farmers? Is today just a step in the right direction? Sounds like we still have a long way to go. Cassidy, yeah, that's the gist of it, but man, we got a big win today. Huge, 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 huge. We needed this clarity for so long. What we know today is farmers have a seat at the table. We just don't know exactly to what extent. But I know that USDA rule is close. That is ultimately what we need, but we at least now know we have a seat at the table. So yes, today was a huge step in the right direction. We need some more clarity. I think it should come soon, but this is going in a great direction. All right, couple more here, and I'm gonna have to jump here in a little bit, but I'll go as long as I can. Also, we do CI chit chats every Tuesday. I'm not gonna do one this coming Tuesday because I'm gonna be in Washington D.C. But if you have more questions, shoot them our way. Go on to TopSoil. Go onto our website Continuum.ag. Our folks here would be happy to answer your questions or hit me up. I'm happy to answer as many as you want, or hit me up on Twitter or something too. All right, a couple more here. Ethanol plants are already doing audits for traceability for a 10-cent premium to the EU. Is this a separate deal than what's out today? Yes. So the EU deal is ISCC. That's the European standards. But the process of those audits and stuff and the data are pretty similar. I don't have indication that you wouldn't be able to stack those, okay? Because the ISCC thing, that's on the sell side, and 45Z is on the producer side. So I believe they'll be able to get both, get a premium in Europe and be able to generate 45Z. But it's separate. I believe will be stackable. I have no indication that says that it wouldn't be stackable. And but the process on the farmer side, pretty similar. You just need to know when you're delivering your data, how is it going to be used, and just make sure that you're being treated fairly. And again, I think there's plenty of opportunity here. The farmers, we need to not be greedy on the farm side. Ethanol producers, we need to not be greedy on that side. And this can really be awesome for everyone here. And the more we can work together on this, the better odds are of getting this program extended and stuff too, so we can keep making good progress here. Contact our local ethanol plants here in South Dakota, and neither one knew anything about 45Z. Just keep calling and giving information, or how do we go about streamlining that? So, Dion, happy to chat on this some more, but the ethanol plants do not. So the ethanol plants need this USDA rule still. They now know that farmers will be able to help them and lower their CI. They don't know the details of how they're going to go about it. They need the updated 45Z CF GREET, and they need the new feedstock calculator. Then there'll be some opportunity. But yeah, right now, the ethanol plants just know, they learned today that there will be an opportunity to bring in the farmers, but we're still waiting on the details. Then more of those detailed conversations can be had. Jackson, what would you say are the key issues or contentions, if there are any, that farmers should advocate for so that the May ruling ends in our favor? In the IRS rules that came out today, which is what that May 28th meeting would be about, I don't see anything of concern for me as a farmer. Now, I haven't been able to chat with a bunch of the biofuel producer groups that we are aligned with and whatnot, so maybe there'll be some things, but as it sits today, the IRS side of things looks good. On the USDA side, we need to advocate for a bunch of practices being included and getting a fair value for our practices, and then advocating for book and claim. Book and claim that's really the big one if we're going to advocate for anything. But we will be very public in our comments as we get them prepared for May. But at this point, in the IRS document that came out today, I don't have major battles to go fight at this point. Bill, will you be able to participate in 45Z and other cost share? I think we got that one hopefully from before. Can't double count the carbon, but pay for practice, then separately pay for carbon should be okay. Jim, how would the IRS knowing the grain was segregated at the farm anyway? Yeah, I mean the grain's all going to be blended together. You created the certificates from certain fields. Now, the how we do it anyway is that the entity, your business entity, if you have a business or if you're farming it personally, the entity that owns the grain owns the certificates. And then you got to sell them in accordance to the mass balance or book and claim. But yeah, it's going to be funky on the traceability and stuff if that is required. We'll figure that out as we go. What's your feel for if a plant has carbon capture, pipeline, or whatever, and they still want low CI, would they pay as much one without the capture sorts together? So, yeah, I mean, you can stack. You can do the carbon capture and the low carbon farm stuff. So, Jeff, I saw you text me. Hopefully, we got that kind of taken care of. Jim, am I misunderstanding they have reworked the CI scale? Missed the first couple minutes. No, the CI scale that I saw in this IRS rule, they just cleaned it up. They just cleaned it up on the details, and the issue is it's different for fuel produced in 2025 versus 2026 because of the big beautiful bill. So they cleaned that up. That's probably what you're referring to. They just cleaned up the CI scale and how the credit will be calculated. They just cleaned it up in there. Cassie, did today's guidance confirm what you had been assumed on how the tax rate will work, going up 2 cents for every CI point at the biofuel plant? Yeah, that's the simple way to do it. There's actually rounding that gets factored in. So essentially it boils down to for every 5 points that an ethanol plant lowers their score, they earn a credit of 10 cents per gallon for every 5 points. Now, if they don't meet prevailing wage in the registered apprenticeship program, they get 20 cents on the dollar of that. They only get 20% of the credit. And that might be what Jim was getting at in the language. It cleaned up a lot of that. But no, the gist of how the math works, it just got cleared up today. It's the same. Maxes out at $1, adjusted for inflation and all that good stuff. All right. I just got my guys giving me some info. But last couple of things, I'm going to have to jump here. Can you share the link with USDA agri-practice implementation as an IRS document? Let me think it out loud for Diana. The if you look the actually I think I had it here. Yeah, it's right here. So I had it pulled up from before. I'm putting in the chat for everybody. That is the old USDA technical guidelines, and it lays out the practice implementation and whatnot, but it's going to be updated. So I that's why I didn't get carried away at it, but it's in there. As a farmer, what should my next steps be? Do I wait to see? Okay, so this is kind of what my guys were just getting at. Okay, so number one, get our data organized. We are set up to be able to do it. Topsoil Connect is $3 per acre to do it. That's how we would love to help you. We can get you all of the information that will be required, and then you can punt on the audits and we figure all that stuff out later. If you want to do the whole thing, right now we're doing that for $7. But at a minimum, if you're not ready to do all the data collection and evidence and everything to get ready for audit, at a minimum, go on to Topsoil and get your CI score. That's free. So CI score for free. If you want to get going on data capture, Topsoil Connect is on there. It's $3 an acre. We'll help you to get ready for this program. Then when it's time to audit, the full cost is $7, and our folks that are in early, we're gonna take care of you. A couple remarks that my guys were getting at too as they've been listening. We have hope and have reason to believe that we have hope, but also things have been trending in the book and claim direction. Like, I don't know for certain, but we just have a good feeling that hopefully it's going to go book and claim. As a farmer, should wait for the rules. Like, that was kind of put in here. So at a minimum, getting your data organized. That's what we can do today. We can do it very low risk, and especially to start getting this data organized before we get busy with planting time in 2026. Now is a good time to get your 2025 data organized and start gearing up for 2026. And then this MRV protocol, I mean, it was laid out that the biofuel producers, they're going to have to go through audits. We know how to do it. We've already passed them. So we don't do the audits and stuff at the ethanol plant, but for all that feedstock coming in, we really do know what we're doing here. So happy to have those conversations. All right, last couple, and we'll call her good. Cassie, thank you for all the questions here. Do you expect in the case where a plant is looking back at past gallons and therefore past crop production practices, are they going to be willing to retroactively share the credit for bushels already grown, sold, and processed? It's a really good question, and I don't have time to answer the whole thing. Again, it really depends on mass balance or book and claim. If it's mass balance, and we're talking 2024 crop that went into 2025 biofuel, well, you already delivered the crop. Like ethanol plant and farmer, you only have one option, and that's to work with each other. I think the farmer needs to at least be paid enough to go through and warrant putting through all the data and going through the audits, doing all the lift. But the ethanol plant needs to be willing to provide enough to incentivize the farmers to actually do it. But they are very much locked together under mass balance. If it's book and claim, it's game on. I mean, you can sell your certificates to anybody unless for whatever reason you're already in some kind of a deal and you're already locked in or something. But what value will a certificate get for each CI point of improvement? So we don't know what the farmer component will be yet, but how it works today under our current knowledge of this, the gist of it, like I shared before, as you lower the CI of the ethanol, it generates a credit of 2 cents per point per gallon. Since the average efficiency is 2.9 gallons of ethanol per bushel, that means for every point the farmer lowers their score, it'd be worth a total of about 5.8 cents per point per bushel. But that's 5.8 cents to the biofuel producer, not to the farmer. We don't know what the farmer piece is, but overall, the quick answer is 5.8 cents per point per bushel to the ethanol plant. What the farmer will get is still unknown. Okay. Our farmers need to get together to advocate for their local ethanol plants for a larger piece of the same pie, since it's entirely voluntary for them to give farmers anything. I really do not want there to be animosity or, heat over this. This pie looks like it is going to be plenty big enough for an equitable share to go to the farmer, an equitable share to be retained by the ethanol plants, and there's going to be some cost in this as well, of course. But I think there's an opportunity here just to make sure that you know the value of your data, make sure that you know what a good deal looks like. We are going to help be very public in what the going rate is at different locations and stuff, and try to help you as CI sellers get connected with the CI certificate buyers and vice versa. If you have a biofuel plant, you're involved in one, we can help you recruit farmers and help you go through the audits and do all that. Like, we're set up to do this both ways. So, and I really think there's an opportunity here for everybody to be happy getting an equitable share at the end of the day. A 90-10 split, not equitable. Right? But I don't know what a fair deal is going to be. A farmer's not going to get 80 cents on the dollar. But I also think farmer getting 5 or 10 cents on the dollar, that's just not, I don't think we're going to be able to advocate in DC very well for a program that isn't done well. We got to play some strategy here. So, Chad, taking us home. Good to have you on, man. Exciting day for us. You've been looking at this for a long time. Is it possible to sign up additional acres if they allow the 2024 crop to qualify? Yes. So what is mind-boggling to me on this, okay, was one of the things I thought would happen is they would say 2025 biofuel does not include the farmer CI. But 2026 biofuel will give you this new feedstock calculator, and you can include low carbon feedstock on 2026 fuel. It explicitly says in this rule that 2025 fuel will be able to use the feedstock calculator when it comes out, meaning 2024 crop. Now, we got to wait for the details, but it explicitly said that the 2025 fuel would be able to utilize this feedstock calculator. Man, that is a big additional opportunity to go back and get 2024 feedstock data. All the 2025, of course, we got to get, and you got to get managing your 2026. Lot of data. Luckily, we've been building for this for a long time. More to come on all that, but yeah, looks like 2024 is going to be in, which is great, and a huge win for our farmers that were part of that audit that we did a year ago. That we'll have to make some updates and stuff again. It's going to be a new CI score, but all the data we already collected, it's not for nothing now. We know it's looks like it's going to be useful. So, all right, that was a lot of stuff. 47 questions, and hundreds of people on. So really appreciate you guys taking the time here. If you have other thoughts and stuff, want to debate things, happy to have those conversations. I'll be in Des Moines on Thursday at their Iowa Renewable Fuels Summit, speaking and sharing insights to the biofuel producers there. Lots of additional work to be done, monitoring the USDA stuff. If anybody is hearing things, wants to have conversations, hit me up anytime or hit up any of our folks here at Continuum. But my email is mitchell@continuum.ag. Appreciate everyone being on. Massive day for American Ag, and contact our sales guys if you need. There's contact us forums on our website, but David@continuum.ag, Dale@continuum.ag, or just go on TopSoil and get started there. But we're all over the place. Happy to have those conversations. Thanks everyone for being on. We will keep you informed for next time.